controlled chaos. In the Infinity Fortress, Muzan stood, red eyes peering down at the clamp of the flesh on the floor. With a chest full of anger, he held back on exploding his blood contained in the flesh. If it weren't for his wife that begged him to spare, the Indetections demon Upper Moon 3 would have been a pile of ash. The mush bounded together, the cells duplicating rapidly, watching the clump of flesh slowly regenerate into a large form. The Demon King also couldn't deny Akaza's usefulness. As Akaza's form finally resembled an intact body, the figure immediately knelt down with his head folded forwards in a deep bow. Muzan waited for the demon to fully heal before speaking. "You are lucky Yin pleaded for you." Hearing this, Akaza felt surprised. Freshly healed, eyes glanced behind the Demon King at the woman sitting elegantly on the setted bed. In the short glance he took, there was no sign of satisfaction. He had seen before his eyes were destroyed. Her eyebrows were furrowed, eyes widened with a frown tugged at her lips. Clearly, her face held an expression of concern rather than satisfaction. Believing that the look he had seen on her face before was just a fragment of his imagination, Akaza felt revealed. Foremost, he felt grateful and uncertain adaptation for her. He completely ignored the fact that he wouldn't have been tortured if she hadn't ordered him to take her outside of the Infinity Castle in the first place. Yin pled for me? Pressure in the room suddenly increased as the veins protruded from the Demon King's sickly skin, clearly sensing the obstruction towards his wife. From his subnutional, Muzan quickly grew enraged once more. Two appendages shot out from his back and drove into Akaza's yellow eyes, taking away his vision for the second time that night. Blood burst from his sockets, splashing against Muzan's white shirt. Be thankful that you're alive. You are no longer allowed to be in the presence of my wife. Akaza's heart plummeted to the ground. If I ever find you near her, I'll make your death as painful as possible. Before he could even think to protest, the marked demon was transported out of the fortress to the sound of a striked biwa, leaving only two of them in the room. Muzan turned to the woman on the bed. Quickly, his form shifted into that of a woman. His voice rose in pitch. "My darling, you must have been frightened." The Demon King reached out a hand to comfort her. However, Yin's face was calm and not at once distressed. Instead, she leaned out of the Demon King's touch, thinking of conversing between her and the Demon Slayer. That was cut short. She was left unsatisfied. Still, Yin felt a little bit excited, having met one of the people from a past life. A look of uncertainty spread across the woman's beautiful face as she went through the information she gathered from the odd Demon Slayer. A cure. In the Demon Slayer headquarters, despite his weak body, Uberashiki stood tall as the pillars bowed before him. With a wave of his hand, everyone sat up and devoted their full attention to their leader. I have gathered you here today to address something very important. Throughout his eyes, his gray and unseeing, it felt as if he was staring holes into each of them. His rotting face held a strong look of disappointment. Your behavior is concerning. Even though Uberashiki did not specify a single person, each pillar froze at the master's tone. Each one of you has changed, and I'm afraid your actions have betrayed the good of the people." His gray eyes were straightened forward and unfocused, yet they all felt pressured. "I understand that you are lost, my children, but some of the things you've done, the people you've hurt, do you not feel guilty? Where have your morals gone?" No one dared to gaze at their dismay master. Eight pairs of eyes looking anywhere but the man standing in front of them. What would Yin think? Would she be proud of your actions? At that, the pillars all looked at with mixed emotions. Some felt anger, while others felt extremely guilt. Although they tried to deny it, they knew it was true. Yin would hate them because of it. The citizens are not your enemies. Your fellow demon slayers are not your enemies. The enemies are the demon that hold your beloved Phoenix Pillar captive. Instead of letting your resentment take over, instead of harming yourselves or others, why not put that drive towards saving Yin? He paused, and all the pillars leaned forward, waiting with bated breaths. Yin needs you. The Burshiki's words were like gusts of wind, and their clouded minds were suddenly cleared. What have they been thinking? They have all been blinded. Rather than working towards finding and rescuing their love, they've been walling in sadness and disappearance. They've misdirected their anger and drives towards things that would never bring her back. Almost as if their minds were connected, each of the pillars had a new goal set on their motives and appliances, I think. Instead of being driven and working in villainy to rescue Yin, they would work together. With a newfound harmony, the tension in the air dispersed. The pillars began to discuss a plan, finally bringing their most important person back home. End of Arc 2. A Taisho Era Secret. Kugabushibi's brews tea and brings raw animal meat to Yin every night, knowing that she is unable to eat human flesh.